So what I would like to do right now is I just want to review real quickly our desire, what are we trying to do with these classes. And really quickly, we've gone over this before, but our hope is that we are offering help. So help means information. A lot of us have had to learn new information. We have to learn about prenatal compromises to the brain. We've had to learn about disruptions in the developmental seasons of our children, and how to bring what are some good ideas of how to bring healing to them. So many of us just need to be educated. We really benefit from learning from each other and learning from, in our case, we learn most of what we know from books or DVDs that other people put up. But we like to pass on that information. So without the information, we don't really have, what it takes to go, the next step, which is, I think, hope. So our desire is that we hope that these classes, we hope that the way that we present the material and the stories that we share are inspirational. And my wife and I went through a season of time where we literally lost hope. And you can evaluate the spirituality of all that, and at what level was it sin, and what level was it just, overwhelmed with something that we were unable to manage on our own, and coming to the point where trusting God was our only option, because we were thinking of other options. So when we lose hope, despair takes over, and when we become disparaging, we don't become any good to anyone. So we're hoping that through our stories, the good, bad, and the ugly, that we are able to help each other persevere and to inspire, hoping our stories and the stories that we share in the class can inspire others to renew our hope. And so we've encountered many parents, and like I said, we've been there before. The scripture says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. It's really a big deal to keep hope alive. And so we're hoping that that's what happens here. So help, information, hope, inspirational stories, and healing. So we like to think that the ideas that we talk about and the stories we share, they're not enough in and of themselves. Most of us need some really concrete ideas about how to flesh out raising our children in our homes. So what we like to do is we like to talk about parental strategies that are somewhat unconventional in nature, strategies that are going to sound a little bit strange and weird, maybe to your mother and to your sisters and to your aunts and uncles. And so we need each other to cheer each other on with these strategies, and we need to talk about how it went when you implemented that particular strategy. And so one example might be that we had an exchange with one of our daughters with a therapist that introduced the idea of neutral noticing. Now this would not come into our world any other way, except that this lady had insight because of her experience that one of our daughters really didn't understand that she actually was. That she had her own identity, that she was herself a person. Your daughter just floats around. She doesn't really know who she is or why she's here or what she's doing. And so she is subject to bump into anything in life and absorb that and become that. And it was true. She would walk out the door in the morning and she'd bump into the first person, and it's like she forgot all about us. I mean, it's as though we didn't exist. So she encouraged us as parents to give this child her own identity by noticing her. affirmations don't work for this child, discipline doesn't work for this child, that doesn't load in, don't waste your time. With this child, you need to help her discover that she is. That's your first, and so we did that for over a year. We just, constantly, day in, day out, we would think proactively, how do I notice this child? And I have to verbalize it. And it has to be me, not some boy at school, not some teacher, but Colleen and I, noticing this child and helping the child realize that Mom and Dad, we get you. Step one. So, those are what we're talking about. That is a healing strategy, and it worked. And we would have not figured that out on our own. So we want to introduce that in this class. We want to talk about healing strategies. That's not for every child. So, that's not something for you all to go home and do. But for our child, on the front side of an adopted older child who had trouble with her identity, that's where you start. You don't start with lots of affirmations. It won't go anywhere because she doesn't load in. That's not for her. You can say them, but she doesn't hear them. So we start with neutral. So that's just one example. So any questions on that? I just wanted to clarify real quickly, what we're trying to do. And so when it comes to the end of the class, end of this semester, end of the year, this is what we'd like to evaluate. We'd like you to evaluate based on these three things. This is why we have this. Any comments, thoughts, questions, snide remarks?